The Power Rangers were a huge part of the 90s that still has managed to survive even till now. But I'm not gonna pretend like I know a lot about the franchise because for the most part as a kid, I mainly participated in just buying the toys because I had no idea where to even watch the show until Disney started airing the Ninja Storm season. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Today I'm going to be talking about the Time Force season, specifically the Game Boy Advance game that came out 2 months after the show originally aired on Fox Kids back in 2001. This was one of the Game Boy games I used to play a lot on my GBA. I was a huge fan of the Rangers just from buying the toys, so getting to play this was definitely an experience for me. Since I never seen the show till recently where I watched the first 2 episodes, I won't understand most of the game's references to the show's environments, characters, or whatnot. The game starts off in the future. I believe in the year 3000 where the one and only criminal that still exists in the world straight up takes out the Red Ranger and time travels back to the year 2001 of all ages to try and take over the world. This actually happens within the first 2 episodes of the show. I was surprised as to how quickly the Red Ranger was capped. But it's all good, because there's these items that revive fallen Rangers, so that's cool I suppose. In the show, after the Red Ranger gets unalived, they travel back in time and find his descendant who looks just like him, and they decide to recruit him to the team as the next Red Ranger. I thought it was kind of funny how the game tells these events by having one of the game's allies brush off the Red Ranger scene by telling you not to worry because you could just get another Red Ranger from the past. Supposedly they come easy and in large supplies. Haven't you seen the Red Ranger stockpile? We got tons of them. Every level in the game takes place in a setting of time from the past. The first setting is ye olde Cowboy Era, back when the Pony Express was a thing and self-checkout machines were inconceivable. You begin the stage going through an old mining town. The game tells you the villains are disguised as cowboys and to not worry about attacking civilians because they don't exist. Most of the levels can easily be skipped just by jumping through everything in the path. There are some levels where you can just jump over the enemies and avoid conflict, as you can tell. I can easily get to the boss at the end of this town with plenty of health. The bosses are more or less the same in this game. You can easily defeat all the bosses the same cheap way by spamming the special attack, because every time you attack, the special bar depletes. But because I hit him still, then the stamina bar replenishes, just like when you use your phone while it's charging. A cool thing that I liked about this game is that there's this power item that grants you the ability to play as the Quantum Ranger. He is the show's 6th Ranger and a badass from what I could tell by watching the Best of Power Rangers DVD. The very little exposure I had to the old Rangers. But anyways, playing as him grants you the most damage output out of all the Rangers and jumps higher than them as well. So it's even easier to just breeze through every boss in the game with him. Like I said, you travel through different time periods. The second level is pirate themed. You start off in some harbor and make your way through it till you get to the second section, which is just a ton of pirate ships scattered around looking like a ship graveyard to create the path to the boss himself. I forgot to mention, but this game has an ultimate move that takes out all enemies on the screen. Realistically though, none of them pose enough of a challenge to even remember you have it, so you can just blow through the game without even realizing you can do that. I did try taking out the bosses using this ultimate move when I remembered to. In between levels, you make your way back to 2001, and that year basically serves as your hub year, I guess. I don't know what you'd want to call it, but that sounded the most right. And the robot owl from the future tells you what you have to do next. I don't think I knew how to read back when I played this game as a kid, but beat it anyways. So there you go, no reading ability needed to enjoy this game. Next you travel to Rome, where you essentially do more of the same, running through the enemies without a care and spamming the special on the bosses until they lose. You eventually do like 2 more time periods of the same rinse and repeat leveling. You hit up ancient Egypt, fight a cat, and then you go through the prehistoric dinosaur era. The dinosaur area stood out to me the most because of this ice crystal cave area that just has some of the most nicest pixel art. Afterwards, you fight the boss from the dino times and beat him with ease and no challenge. Then Rancic shows up, the final boss. But before I get talking about beating him with ease, let me finally talk about the giant Zord fights. So in the show, after the heroes defeat the villain of the episode, they revive him to skyscraper size to take on the Rangers for a final Godzilla assault. And as you can guess, we do that here too! Two aspects I really liked about the Zord fights. I thought that for the most part the backgrounds were a really cool way to show the area you previously made your way through. Like the old western level, you can see the little town in the background while you fight. The Zord fights were not challenging either, as you'd expect by now. You can spam the same special as before they grew and it worked just the same. You finally beat them once your special meter fills all the way, allowing you to do a final move on them. That's more of a just for show, but it looks pretty badass if you ask me. Clearly the game is not for my current age group, but it was a game I played as a kid and I just wanted to try it out again. You can beat it in like 30 minutes if you skip past most of the enemies like I did. There's almost no incentive to fight them. Is it worth playing today? Probably not, unless you're like me and want to experience some nostalgia. Otherwise, just watch this video to get a good viewpoint of which, by this point, I hope you did enjoy what I had to say, and I appreciate you for watching. See ya!